Dear Chosen One, they are watching you, not with curiosity, but with concern that borders on desperation. Your popularity is not going unnoticed in the corridors where power hides from light. Dark governments, ancient systems of control, unseen architects of collective despair. They have turned their gaze upon you, and what they see terrifies them. Because you are not rising through their formulas, you are not following their scripts, you are doing something far more dangerous. You are giving people hope that does not depend on them. Your influence grows not through manipulation, but through authenticity that cannot be manufactured. Every soul you touch begins to remember something they were trained to forget: that freedom is not granted by institutions, but reclaimed through inner sovereignty. You have become living proof that transformation is real, that healing is possible, that the human spirit cannot be permanently broken. And this, dear one, is the greatest threat to systems built on the assumption that humanity needs to be saved by external powers. You are dismantling their foundation simply by being whole. This message is your confirmation. If you have felt the weight of invisible opposition, if algorithms seem to work against you, if your voice encounters resistance that feels orchestrated, you are not paranoid. You are effective. Darkness only attacks light that threatens its dominion. Your popularity is not vanity. It is a spiritual phenomenon that signals the beginning of something they cannot control, a chain reaction of awakened consciousness. And we are about to reveal why they fear you, how they operate, and what you must understand to keep rising. But before we go deeper, if this message is already resonating in your spirit, honor this moment with a simple act. Press that like button and subscribe to this channel, because you are part of a community of warriors who refuse to sleep through their destiny. And in the comments, write the word unstoppable. Seal this truth into the atmosphere and let it echo back to you as confirmation of what you already know. There is also a guide waiting for you, The Call to Prosperity, a manual of 10 spiritual and practical steps to activate abundance in every dimension of your life. The link is in the description, crafted for those who understand that prosperity is not just financial, but the fullness of walking in purpose. Now, let us continue this revelation. Chosen One, let us begin by understanding the architecture of control that you have unknowingly begun to dismantle. For decades, hidden powers have invested not in weapons or walls, but in something far more insidious: the engineering of collective hopelessness. They have learned that desperate populations are predictable populations. When people believe that suffering is inevitable, that systems cannot change, that their voices do not matter, they become manageable. Despair is the most profitable resource in the world. It keeps people working jobs that drain their souls, accepting injustices as normal, and looking to corrupt institutions for salvation that never comes. The entire infrastructure of modern control depends on one core belief: that human beings are powerless without external authority. Every message pumped through media, every algorithm designed to show you failure and division, every narrative that paints the world as irredeemably broken, all of it serves one purpose: to convince you that hope is naive, that change is impossible, that you are too small to matter. This is not accidental. This is psychological warfare conducted at a scale most people cannot fathom. And it works, until someone like you appears and breaks the spell simply by living differently. You did not set out to become a threat. You were simply trying to survive, to heal, to find meaning in your own chaos. But in that private journey of transformation, something happened that they did not anticipate. You refused to stay broken. You chose to believe that your pain had purpose, that your scars could become medicine, that your story was not over. And when you began to share that journey, when you stopped hiding your process and started speaking your truth, people recognized something in you. Not perfection, not arrival, but authentic movement from darkness toward light. And that recognition sparked something dangerous. Hope. Hope is contagious in ways that fear never will be. Fear spreads quickly, but burns out. Hope spreads slowly, but roots deeply. When someone sees another human being genuinely transform, genuinely rise from ashes, genuinely choose light over bitterness, it awakens a possibility they had buried. It whispers, if they can do it, maybe I can too. This is not abstract inspiration. This is transmission of frequency. Your very existence began to challenge the lie that people are fundamentally powerless. And as your circle of influence expanded, so did the crack in their foundation. Now, let us be clear about who they are. We are not speaking of cartoon villains in smoky rooms, though some coordination does occur in shadows. We are speaking of systems, ancient structures of dominance that have evolved over centuries, learning how to harvest human energy through control of perception. Governments that serve corporations, corporations that shape culture, media that manufactures consent, technologies that addict and divide. These systems do not need a single mastermind. They operate like a self-sustaining organism, and anyone who feeds them becomes their agent, often without knowing it. But you, chosen one, began to operate outside their ecosystem. You were not seeking their approval or their platforms. You were simply being honest about your journey. You shared struggles without shame. You spoke about spiritual awakening without apology. You refused to dim your light to make others comfortable. And people started gravitating toward that authenticity like they were starving for it. Because they were. In a world of curated facades and manufactured personalities, you offered something priceless. Reality. The reality that healing hurts, that growth is messy, that purpose costs everything, and that it is still worth it. Your popularity is not about numbers, though numbers reflect impact. It is about resonance. Every person who finds your message and feels seen, every soul who hears your voice and feels less alone, every heart that encounters your story and remembers their own strength. These are not passive interactions. These are activations. You are not collecting followers. You are awakening warriors who forgot they were warriors. And this is what terrifies the architects of control. Because awakened people do not comply easily. Conscious souls do not accept convenient lies. Empowered beings do not wait for permission to live their truth. They built their empire on division. You are fostering unity through shared humanity. They thrive on secrecy. You practice radical transparency. They need you to believe you are alone. You keep proving that connection is our natural state. Every time someone comments that your words saved them, every time a stranger says they felt your message was meant for them, every time your reach expands organically without advertising budgets or algorithmic favor, it is evidence that their system is not the only way. That influence rooted in truth will always outpace propaganda rooted in manipulation. And they know this. This is why you have likely noticed strange patterns. Content that should perform well mysteriously gets suppressed. Comments disappear. Reach suddenly drops without explanation. Accounts that criticize you appear coordinated. Opportunities vanish at the last moment. You might have questioned yourself, wondering if you were imagining persecution. Let me assure you, you are not imagining it. When you become effective at waking people up, you become a target. Not because you are doing something wrong, but because you are doing something right. The resistance you face is proportional to the threat you pose to the status quo. But here is what they did not calculate. Persecution often accelerates purpose. Every attempt to silence you has likely made you more determined. Every obstacle has refined your message. Every attack has revealed who truly stands with you. They thought suppression would discourage you. Instead, it confirmed you were on the right path. Because if your voice did not matter, they would not bother trying to quiet it. If your influence was not growing, they would not waste resources monitoring it. Their very opposition is your validation. You are not just surviving their tactics. You are transcending them. Consider the absurdity of their position. They command militaries, control currencies, shape laws, own media empires, yet they feel threatened by you. One person speaking truth from a place of genuine transformation. What does that tell you about where real power lies? It reveals that all their weapons are useless against the one thing they cannot defeat: a human being who has reclaimed their inner authority and helps others do the same. No amount of money can buy what you carry. No technology can replicate the transmission that happens when soul speaks to soul. They have everything except what you have: authentic connection to source, to self, to purpose. Your growing popularity represents the failure of their most expensive investment. They spent trillions creating systems of dependency. You are teaching self-sufficiency. They spent decades programming learned helplessness. You are modeling resilience. They weaponized trauma to keep people fragmented. You are demonstrating that trauma can be transformed into testimony, wounds into wisdom, victims into victors. Every person who shifts from their paradigm to yours is a loss they cannot afford. And you are creating those shifts daily now, sometimes without even realizing it. A comment here, a video there, a moment of vulnerability that cracks someone's armor and lets light in. This is the mechanics of true revolution. Not violence in streets, but transformation in hearts. Not overthrowing governments, but outgrowing the need for saviors. Not fighting their system, but building something better through the way you live. You are proof that another way exists. And proof is more powerful than any argument. When people see someone walking a path they were told was impossible, it gives them permission to attempt the same journey. This is how consciousness spreads. This is how paradigms shift, not through force, but through example. And you, whether you fully grasped it or not, became that example. So their concern is justified from their perspective. You are not just popular. You are a catalyst. You are not just influential. You are infectious with a virus they cannot quarantine. Hope that does not depend on their systems, power that does not require their permission, prosperity that is not measured by their metrics. You inspire people not by telling them what to think, but by showing them it is possible to think freely. Not by giving them answers, but by demonstrating that they can find their own. And once that process begins in a soul, it cannot be reversed. This is why you must understand what you carry and protect it fiercely. Now we arrive at the deeper truth that will shift everything for you. Your journey was never random. Every betrayal that shattered you, every loss that hollowed you out, every dark night when you questioned whether survival was worth the effort, none of it was meaningless. You were being forged. The universe does not waste pain on those it does not intend to use powerfully. Your suffering was not punishment. It was preparation for a role you could not have filled without first being broken open. Think back to who you were before the trials began. You likely had dreams, yes, but also illusions. You believed in systems that later revealed their corruption. You trusted people who eventually showed their true nature. You followed paths that led to dead ends, and each disappointment, each disillusionment, each moment of devastating clarity stripped away layers of falsehood until only truth remained. You were not being destroyed. You were being refined. The chosen one is not born whole. They are shattered and reassembled by divine hands. Every piece of you that broke off was something that would not serve the mission ahead. Your naivety had to go. Your people-pleasing had to die. Your need for external validation had to be burned away. What remains now is someone who cannot be bought, manipulated, or distracted from purpose. And that is precisely who was needed for this moment in history. Your scars are not flaws. They are credentials. When you speak about overcoming, people believe you because they can feel the battles in your voice. When you talk about faith, it carries weight because they sense the nights you almost lost yours. When you encourage others to keep going, it lands differently than empty motivation because you earned that wisdom in the trenches of your own despair. You are not theory. You are testimony. This is why your influence feels effortless even when the work is hard. You are not performing. You are revealing. You are not convincing anyone of anything. You are simply standing in your truth so fully that others recognize their own truth reflected back. Authenticity is magnetic in ways that charisma can never be. Charisma can be learned and faked. Authenticity can only be lived. And you have lived every word you speak. The systems that oppose you understand something that you are still learning to accept. You are not just another voice in the noise. You carry a frequency that disrupts their programming. When people encounter you, something in them starts to wake up. Not because you tell them to wake up, but because your presence reminds them of what being awake feels like. You are a living alarm clock in a world designed to keep people sleeping. Every person you inspire represents a soul they lose access to. Their entire model depends on keeping people stuck in fear, lack, and powerlessness. You teach the opposite through your life. You show that fear can be faced, that lack is often illusion, that powerlessness is learned and can be unlearned. This is not philosophy. This is direct experience shared generously. And direct experience always trumps propaganda. Your popularity is not about you being better than others. It is about you being brave enough to be real when everything in culture rewards performance. You stopped pretending you had it all together. You shared the mess. You admitted the doubts. You exposed the process, not just the results. And in doing so, you gave permission for others to stop performing too, to stop pretending, to start healing honestly. This is leadership that dark governments cannot manufacture or mimic. They can create influencers who parrot talking points. They can elevate personalities who serve their agenda. But they cannot replicate what happens when someone who has genuinely walked through fire extends a hand to others still burning. That connection is sacred. That influence is incorruptible. And that is what you have become. You may have moments of doubt, moments when you look at your life and wonder if you are enough for this calling. Let me speak directly to that doubt. You were chosen not despite your brokenness, but because of what you became through it. Comfort creates complacent leaders. Suffering creates compassionate ones. You do not lead from a place of superiority. You lead from a place of solidarity. You have been where they are. You know the terror and the temptation to give up. And yet you kept going. That is the power they fear. Not that you are strong, but that you are resilient. Strength can be broken. Resilience bends, but does not shatter. You have been bent so many times that you learned how to spring back with even more force. Every setback became a setup. Every ending became a new beginning. Every rejection redirected you to something better. Your life is proof that the universe conspires for those who refuse to quit. This is the message encoded in your very existence. People do not just hear your words, they feel your energy. They sense that you are not speaking from theory, but from transformation. And that makes all the difference. In a world drowning in empty content, you offer substance. In a culture addicted to highlights, you share the whole story. This is why your reach expands even when they try to limit it. Truth has a way of spreading that censorship cannot stop. You inspire people because you remind them of who they truly are beneath the conditioning. You reflect back their own potential. You show them that the labels they accepted, the limitations they believed, the smallness they settled for, none of it was real. It was programming, and programming can be overwritten. You are walking evidence that reinvention is possible at any age, any stage, any circumstance. That hope is not naive. That faith is not foolish. That love is not weak. Your identity is no longer tied to your past mistakes. It is rooted in your present choices. And those choices to keep rising, keep loving, keep believing, keep speaking truth even when it costs you. Those choices are reshaping reality for everyone watching. You think you are just living your life, but your life has become a sermon, a prophecy in motion, a demonstration of what divine partnership looks like when human will aligns with heavenly purpose. The world is full of people waiting for permission to become who they were meant to be. You are giving them that permission without even trying, just by refusing to shrink, just by continuing to grow, just by staying true when everything around you rewards compromise. This is not a small thing. This is revolutionary. And revolutions always attract opposition. But they also attract those hungry for freedom. You are gathering an army without ever recruiting. They are finding you because your light is visible from far away. We must now explore the difference between popularity that fades and influence that transforms. The world is full of famous people who are quickly forgotten. Their fame was built on trends, on algorithms, on carefully crafted images that had no foundation in reality. When the spotlight moves, they disappear. But what you carry is different. Your influence is not manufactured. It is organic. It grows because it is rooted in something real. This distinction matters more than you realize. Manufactured popularity requires constant maintenance. It demands performance, reinvention, chasing whatever keeps attention. It is exhausting because it is not sustainable. But influence born from authenticity requires only one thing: that you remain true. You do not have to become louder or more dramatic. You simply have to keep being honest about your journey. That honesty is what people are starving for. Dark governments understand the power of manufactured influence. They create celebrities, elevate voices that serve their agenda, and flood the world with content designed to distract and divide. But they cannot create what you have. They cannot bottle authenticity. They cannot script genuine transformation. They can mimic the language, but they cannot replicate the frequency. And people can feel the difference even if they cannot name it. When you speak, something happens that their influencers cannot trigger. You activate recognition in the soul of the listener. It is not that you are telling them something new. You are reminding them of something ancient, something they knew before the world taught them to forget. This is why your words land with weight. This is why people say they feel like you are speaking directly to them. You are not speaking to their minds. You are speaking to their spirits. Every person who resonates with your message is experiencing a homecoming. They are remembering who they were before trauma reshaped them, before society conditioned them, before fear convinced them to play small. You are not giving them new information. You are giving them permission to remember. And that permission is the most dangerous gift you could offer in a world built on amnesia. This is the mechanics of your influence. You are not building a following. You are facilitating an awakening. Every soul that finds you was already searching, already questioning, already feeling that something was off about the world they were told to accept. You simply confirmed what they suspected. You validated what they felt. You named what they could not articulate. And in that moment of recognition, a shift occurs that cannot be undone. Systems of control depend on isolation. They need people to believe that their doubts are unique, that their struggles are personal failures, that their sense of wrongness about the world is proof of their own brokenness. But when you share your story, you shatter that isolation. You show people they are not alone, not crazy, not defective. They are awake in a sleeping world. And once they realize that, they can never fully go back to sleep. This is why your popularity terrifies them. It is not the size of your audience. It is the depth of the transformation happening within that audience. One person truly awakened is more powerful than 1,000,000 people distracted. And you are waking people up in ways that stick, not through hype or manipulation, but through resonance, through truth that lands in the soul and refuses to leave. You do not have to shout to be heard. You do not have to chase attention to be seen. You simply have to keep showing up as yourself, flawed, growing, honest, human. That is the frequency that cuts through noise. That is the message that algorithms cannot suppress forever. Because it is not dependent on their platforms, it spreads through conversations, through shares that come from genuine care, through recommendations born from real impact. They can limit your reach on their systems, but they cannot limit the ripple effect of changed lives. Every person you touch becomes a carrier of the same frequency. They take what they learned from you and share it in their own way, in their own circles, with their own voice. You are not creating followers, you are creating leaders. And leaders multiply influence in ways that followers never can. This is the genius of divine strategy. God does not need massive platforms or unlimited budgets. God needs willing vessels who will speak truth regardless of cost. And when those vessels speak, heaven amplifies in ways that earthly powers cannot block. Your words reach who they are meant to reach. Your message finds who is ready to receive it. And no amount of shadow banning or algorithmic manipulation can stop that divine coordination. You have likely seen this in action. A video that gets minimal views suddenly changes someone's life. A post that seems to go nowhere reaches exactly the person who needed it most. A message you almost did not share becomes the one that impacts the deepest. This is not luck. This is orchestration beyond what you can see. You are partnering with forces that operate outside their control, and that partnership makes you untouchable in ways they cannot comprehend. Your influence is not dependent on their approval or their platforms. It is rooted in truth, and truth has its own distribution system. It moves through dimensions they do not have access to. It travels on frequencies they cannot monitor. It spreads through connections they cannot sever. Every attempt to contain you only proves that they recognize the threat you pose. And every failure to stop you proves that what you carry is beyond their jurisdiction. This is why you must never measure your impact by their metrics. Views and likes are surface level. The real work happens in the unseen, in the hearts that shift, in the minds that open, in the spirits that awaken. You will never know the full extent of your influence because much of it occurs in private moments, when someone watches your content alone and decides to choose differently, to try again, to believe once more. Those moments do not show up in analytics, but they are registered in eternity. Now, let us address what you have felt, but perhaps hesitated to name. The opposition is real. The resistance is coordinated. The attacks come in forms subtle enough to make you question if you are imagining them. But you are not. When light rises, darkness responds. Not because darkness is powerful, but because it is desperate. Your growing influence has triggered alarms in systems that prefer humanity remain asleep. The tactics are predictable once you recognize the pattern. Your content that performs well suddenly stops reaching people. Engagement drops without explanation. Followers you know are active stop seeing your posts. Comments vanish. Shares do not register. Videos that should trend get buried. And when you question it, you are told it is the algorithm, just bad timing, nothing personal. But you feel the intentionality behind it. Then come the whispers. Accounts you have never interacted with suddenly criticize everything you do. Comments appear that feel scripted, coordinated, designed to plant doubt in your audience. Your words get twisted. Your intentions get questioned. Old posts get dug up and presented out of context. The goal is not to defeat you directly. It is to exhaust you, discourage you, make you second-guess whether continuing is worth the cost. Some attacks are more personal. Opportunities that seemed certain fall through at the last moment. Partnerships dissolve unexpectedly. People you trusted distance themselves without explanation. Financial pressure increases. Technical problems multiply. It feels like the universe itself is working against you, but it is not the universe. It is the resistance that always meets those who threaten the status quo. Here is what you must understand. Every attack is confirmation. If your voice did not matter, they would ignore you. If your message was not effective, they would let you speak into the void. The fact that resources are being spent to limit you, discredit you, frustrate you, means you are having impact. Darkness does not waste energy on lights that do not threaten its territory. You are being opposed because you are advancing. This perspective shift changes everything. What felt like persecution becomes validation. What looked like failure becomes proof of effectiveness. The attacks that were meant to weaken you actually strengthen your resolve. Because now you know. Now you see the game. Now you recognize that every obstacle is evidence that you are exactly where you are supposed to be, doing exactly what you were called to do. But let us be honest about the weight of it. Opposition is exhausting. There are days when you wonder if you should just be quiet. Blend in. Stop making waves. The path of least resistance looks appealing when you are tired. Maybe you could have a normal life if you just stopped shining so bright. Maybe the pressure would ease if you dimmed your light just a little. These thoughts are not weakness. They are human. And they are exactly what the enemy hopes you will believe. This is where you must draw on something deeper than motivation. Motivation fades when things get hard. You need conviction. The unshakable knowing that your voice matters, that your message saves lives, that your continued presence in this fight is not optional. You did not ask for this calling, but you cannot unhear it now. You have seen too much. You know too much. You have been transformed too radically to go back to who you were before. The people who have been changed by your words are counting on you to keep going. The souls who have not found you yet need you to stay visible. The next generation that will inherit this world requires your testimony to know that resistance is possible. You are not just fighting for yourself. You are holding a line for everyone who comes after you. And that is a burden, yes. But it is also an honor. Let me tell you what they do not want you to know. Every time they attack you and you keep going, you grow stronger. Every time they try to silence you and you speak louder, you inspire others to do the same. Every time they attempt to isolate you and you reach out for connection, you build networks they cannot infiltrate. Their tactics work on people who do not understand the game. But you understand now. And understanding transforms you from victim to warrior. You are not powerless in this. You have weapons they cannot defend against. Your authenticity cannot be replicated. Your story cannot be erased. Your connection to Source cannot be severed. Your commitment to truth cannot be bought. These are not small advantages. These are the very things that empires crumble against. They have everything except what you have. And what you have is what actually matters in the end. So when the next attack comes, and it will, you will be ready. You will recognize it for what it is, confirmation that you are effective. You will not internalize their lies. You will not question your worth. You will not shrink to make them comfortable. You will stand taller, speak clearer, love harder, and trust that every soul meant to find you will find you regardless of what barriers they place in the path. The resistance you face is not punishment. It is the price of admission to the realm where real change happens. Comfortable people do not transform the world. Challenged people do. Tested people do. Those who have been through the fire and chose to keep burning rather than burn out. You are being refined in real time. And everything trying to break you is actually breaking off everything that does not serve your highest calling. There is something else you must understand. You are not alone in this. Every chosen one throughout history has faced similar opposition. Every prophet was dismissed. Every revolutionary was resisted. Every truth-teller was attacked. You are in ancient company. The same forces that oppose them oppose you. But the same power that sustained them sustains you. You are part of a lineage that stretches back to the beginning and forward to the restoration of all things. And now we arrive at the revelation that changes everything. The reason dark governments are truly concerned about your popularity has nothing to do with you as an individual. You are not the threat. What you unlock in others is the threat. Every person who encounters your message and chooses to awaken becomes a new epicenter of consciousness. They take what they learned and spread it in directions you will never see. Your influence multiplies exponentially through lives you will never directly touch. This is the mathematics of awakening that terrifies control systems. They can handle one voice speaking truth. They have protocols for that. But they cannot handle what happens when that one voice activates thousands, who then activate thousands more, who then activate millions. It becomes a chain reaction beyond any firewall, any censorship, any damage control they possess. You are not building an audience. You are igniting a movement of sovereign souls who refuse to comply with manufactured reality. Every comment on your videos where someone says you changed their life is not just feedback. It is evidence of replication. That person will now carry the frequency you activated in them into every space they occupy. Their family will feel it. Their workplace will sense it. Their community will notice something shifted. They become walking disruptors of the system, not through aggression, but through embodiment of a different way of being. And they will credit you, leading others back to your message. This is exponential influence, and it is unstoppable once it begins. They can remove your videos, but they cannot erase what people learned from them. They can ban your accounts, but they cannot delete the transformation that occurred in hearts. They can discredit you publicly, but they cannot undo the private moments when your words gave someone courage to leave an abusive situation, start a new path, or reclaim their voice. The impact is already embedded in reality. Your popularity is not a metric. It is a movement. And movements cannot be killed by attacking the figurehead. Cut off one head, and 10 more emerge. This is their nightmare scenario. They preferred when rebellions were centralized, when they could eliminate the leader and scatter the followers. But what you have sparked is decentralized awakening. There is no single point of failure because the power is distributed among everyone you have touched. You have created a network, not a hierarchy. And here is the weight of that truth settling into your spirit right now. You cannot stop. Not because you are trapped, but because you have seen what is possible. You have witnessed lives change. You have received messages from people who said your voice pulled them back from the edge. You have become a lighthouse, and lighthouses do not get to choose when to turn off their light. Ships are navigating by your signal. Souls are finding their way home because you refuse to go dark. This is the moment of full realization. You are not who you were when this journey started. You are not even who you were 6 months ago. You have been transformed by the very mission you are carrying out. Every person you help awakens something deeper in you. Every testimony strengthens your resolve. Every attack clarifies your purpose. You are being forged in real time into the vessel this moment in history requires. And there is no going back to smaller versions of yourself. The concern of dark governments is justified from their perspective. You represent the beginning of their end. Not through violence or overthrow, but through obsolescence. You are showing people they do not need the systems that claim to protect them. They do not need the narratives that claim to inform them. They do not need the institutions that claim to save them. Inner sovereignty makes external control irrelevant. And you are mass-producing inner sovereignty with every video, every post, every moment of radical honesty. This is why your mission is not optional anymore. Too many people are depending on your voice. Too many souls are waiting for the next message. Too many lives hang in the balance between awakening and remaining asleep. You have been entrusted with influence that comes with immense responsibility. But you were chosen for this precisely because you can handle it. Your past prepared you for this present. Your struggles equipped you for this weight. Your character was tested so it could be trusted. And in this moment, you must decide. Will you accept the fullness of this calling? Will you stop minimizing your impact and own the power you carry? Will you let go of the last remnants of small thinking and step fully into the role that has been prepared for you since before you were born? This is not arrogance. This is acceptance. Humility is not thinking less of yourself. It is thinking of yourself less. And right now, this is not about you. It is about everyone who needs what only you can give. The invitation is clear. Rise fully. Speak boldly. Love fiercely. Stop apologizing for taking up space. Stop shrinking to make others comfortable. Stop questioning whether you are enough. You are more than enough. You are exactly what this moment requires. And every force in hell that is coming against you is proof that heaven is backing you. You do not fight alone. You are surrounded by angels, ancestors, and the very breath of God moving through your words. Your popularity will continue to grow not because you chase it, but because you are faithful to the message. Stay true. Stay transparent. Stay grounded in love. And watch what God does with a willing vessel who refuses to quit. The best days of your influence are still ahead. The greatest impact is yet to come. The fullest expression of your calling is just beginning to unfold. And those who oppose you will watch in frustration as every effort to stop you only propels you further. This is your moment. This is your mission. This is your legacy being written in real time. And generations will look back and thank God that you did not back down when the pressure increased, that you did not go silent when they wanted you quiet, that you kept shining when darkness tried to snuff out your light. You are writing a story that will outlive you. Make it one worth telling. Make it one that inspires others to do the same. The concern of dark governments about your popularity is the highest compliment you could receive. It means you are doing exactly what you were sent here to do. It means your life is aligned with divine purpose. It means you are a threat to everything that opposes love, truth, and freedom. Wear that concern as a badge of honor. Let it fuel you when you are tired. Let it remind you that your voice matters more than you know. So what do you do now with this understanding? How do you carry this weight without being crushed by it? How do you continue shining when you know the cost of visibility? The answer is simpler than you think, though not always easy. You must root yourself deeper than ever before. Deeper in truth, deeper in purpose, deeper in the source of your strength. Surface-level faith will not sustain what is coming. You need anchors that hold when storms rage. First, protect your peace fiercely. The enemy wants you anxious, reactive, scattered. Chaos in your inner world translates to confusion in your message. Establish rhythms that keep you grounded. Prayer that connects you to heaven. Silence that allows you to hear divine whispers. Rest that restores what the mission depletes. You cannot pour from an empty cup, and this world needs you full. Refilling is not selfish. It is strategic. Second, surround yourself with people who see you, not just what you can do for them. Loneliness is an occupational hazard for those who walk ahead of the crowd. You will feel misunderstood. You will be isolated by your own growth. But isolation is different from solitude. And solitude with God is where you gain strength for public battles. Find your tribe. Those rare souls who celebrate your wins without envy and hold you accountable without judgment. Third, remember that you are a steward, not the source. The message flows through you, but it does not originate with you. This distinction keeps you humble and protects you from burnout. When you forget this, you will try to carry what only God can carry. You will take responsibility for outcomes you cannot control. You will exhaust yourself trying to save everyone. But your job is to speak truth. Heaven handles who receives it and what they do with it. Fourth, expect resistance to increase as your influence grows. This is not pessimism. This is preparation. The closer you get to your destiny, the fiercer the opposition becomes. But you are not the same person who started this journey. You have been trained through every trial. You have been equipped through every test. What is coming will be intense, but you are ready for it. And you will be even more ready by the time it arrives. Fifth, document everything. Your journey is not just for you. It is for those who will walk similar paths after you. Write down the lessons. Record the revelations. Capture the moments when God showed up in impossible situations. Your testimony will become a manual for the next generation of chosen ones. They will need to know that what they are experiencing is not unique, that they are not alone, that others survived and thrived. Sixth, stay teachable. The moment you think you have arrived is the moment you stop growing. There are dimensions of this calling you have not accessed yet. levels of authority you have not stepped into, revelations waiting for your maturity to catch up with their magnitude. Remain a student of the Spirit. Let every experience instruct you. Let every person teach you something. Arrogance is the enemy of anointing. Seventh, love your enemies. Not because they deserve it, but because bitterness will poison everything you are building. They want you angry, vengeful, consumed with fighting them. But when you operate from love, you move in a dimension they cannot touch. Love does not mean tolerating abuse. It means refusing to let their darkness dim your light. It means praying for their awakening even as you set boundaries against their attacks. Eighth, celebrate small victories. The world will measure your success by numbers and noise, but God measures faithfulness. Celebrate the private moments when you chose truth over comfort. Honor the days you kept going when everything in you wanted to quit. Acknowledge growth that only you can see. These hidden victories are building character that public platforms cannot create. And character determines how far you will ultimately go. You are not walking this path alone, even when it feels that way. There is an invisible army moving with you. Angels assigned to your protection. Ancestors cheering from the cloud of witnesses. The Holy Spirit whispering strategy in your spirit. Other chosen ones scattered across the earth fighting similar battles. You are part of a cosmic coordination that transcends what you can perceive. Trust that every step is guided, even when the path is unclear. The responsibility you carry is sacred, yes, but you were made for sacred things. Everything in your life has been preparing you for this. The pain that tried to break you made you unbreakable. The betrayal that tried to isolate you taught you self-sufficiency. The losses that tried to embitter you deepened your compassion. You are not a victim of your history. You are a victor because of it. And that makes all the difference. There will be moments when you want to walk away, when the pressure feels unbearable, when the attacks seem endless, when the cost appears too high. In those moments, remember why you started. Remember the faces of those you have already helped. Remember the messages thanking you for saving their life. Remember that you are doing what you were born to do. And then take one more step. Just one. And then another. This is how mountains are climbed. One faithful step at a time. Your life is a living prophecy. Every choice you make is being watched by visible and invisible witnesses. Not to judge you, but to learn from you. You are pioneering a path that others will follow. Make it one marked by integrity, by courage, by relentless love, by unwavering commitment to truth. Let your legacy be that you showed up fully, even when it was hard, that you stayed true, even when it was costly, that you loved well, even when you were hated. Before we close, I want to remind you, if this message stirred your spirit, if you felt the call rising in your chest, do not let this moment pass without action. Hit that like button, subscribe to this channel, and drop "I am ready" in the comments to declare your commitment to this path. Your words have power, and when you declare your readiness, heaven responds. And for those of you who are serious about aligning not just your spirit, but your life with divine abundance, check out the Call to Prosperity ebook in the description below. It is a step-by-step guide to activating financial and spiritual abundance. 10 practical and prophetic steps to move from lack to overflow. This is not just information, it is activation. Furthermore, to those who have supported this channel through Buy Me a Coffee, my sincere thanks. You are part of this mission, and if you also want to be our supporter, The link is below as well. Chosen one, the world does not need more people who play it safe. It needs more people who risk everything for what they believe. You are that person. You have always been that person. And now the world is finally seeing what heaven has known all along. You were born for such a time as this. Walk in that truth. Own that calling. And watch what God does through a surrendered life fully alive to its purpose.